All right, today I'm here with the only way I know you is Bubba.
Right.
But what's your real name?
Robert.
Robert. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm here with Robert, aka Bubba, and you served in the Army, correct?
Correct.
What years did you serve for?
86 to 93.
86 to 93. So what? That's 6 years?
7.
7 years?
Yep.
What'd you do for the Army?
Infantry.
Infantry. Wow. Did you get stationed overseas anywhere?
Korea for 2 years.
Korea, South Korea.
Yep, I was actually, my battalion and company was the last company to pull the DMZ mission for the patrols and ambushes before we turned it back over to the South in 91.
Wow. Tell me about that.
Every infantry battalion over there got to pull a 90-day rotation on the DMZ, and there's 3 phases. There's the guard post phase, the patrol phase, and then the training phase. And when you're on guard post phase, platoons will go up and man the 2 guard posts plus south barrier fence, which is access into the DMZ. And you did that for a month, and then your platoon would be on patrol phase. You'd go out, you'd patrol during the day, and then you'd go set up ambush at night just to watch for infiltrators coming across the DMZ to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then training, you just train to do
Trying
that.
to do your job.
Right.
So interesting. So that's actually really timely right now with what's going on in Korea. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Well, I was over there during the first Gulf War, and what was it? Dick Cheney was Secretary of Defense at the time.
okay.
And he'd come over to visit the troops, and when he landed, North and South Korea were throwing 50 cal at each other, but
Really?
it's just something that didn't get put out there. They didn't tell everyone what goes on there.
Yeah.
And it's the war's not over. It's
I don't think it's ever really been over. to
no,
be
they
honest.
signed a ceasefire,
Yeah.
not a peace treaty. So-
Yeah. And that's something a lot of people don't understand. It's interesting. Over the weekend, they shot that missile over Japan, and then they were like, "Well, is that an act of war?" Well, technically, no, because it went into space.
Right.
And since it wasn't in airspace, space isn't covered, and then it came
Correct.
back down over international waters and then blew up in the water. But from what I understand, because my best friend is in Japan and he flies Blackhawks for the Navy, he said that everyone woke up to an alert on their phone, just like we get the flash flood warnings, Amber
Right.
Alert stuff. It was missile launched, seeks shelter. Like they woke up Saturday with that on their. I couldn't imagine like waking up with that on your.
They,
Jesus.
When the Gulf War happened, they loaded my brigade up, and we were rail-headed, and we was going down to Pusan to catch the boats to go over, and they were going to bring reserves to fill us in. Well, as we're going down, North Korea brought everything they had on the DMZ because of the old paper tiger image, which was bullcrap.
Yeah.
And said, well, they'll start losing there, and once they do that, we can come across and take the South. We did a great big old U-turn, and we put damn near the whole 2nd Division on the DMZ and just waited. And of course, we started kicking ass over there. So
Yeah.
they said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been. I was there when the grandpa was in charge, Kim Il Sung.
Yeah.
And he always said, or Kim Jong Il said, when my dad dies, he will be buried in Seoul. Well,
Yeah.
obviously he wasn't.
Yeah.
And same thing, the little
that-
fat guy does now.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No.
I thought it was pretty interesting. Now they just tested off some what they call bunker busters on the border, just to send a message like, you think you're safe in these things, you won't be.
No.
It's a really weird situation because you've got almost to the point now where China, I think, looks at it and says they don't want to have anything to do with it, but they also have to protect their own interest and understand that they will have several million people who are trying to be refugees in their country, and that's a massive
That's the big
problem.
thing they don't want to.
They don't want to deal with that.
Right.
But and yeah, that's a crazy situation. Did you like your time in Korea? Was it cool? Did you get to experience
absolutely.
anything?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
great. Obviously different culture.
Oh yeah.
The older generation appreciated us being there. The college kids, they were 50-50.
Yeah.
Some they understood, their parents talking, but most,
Didn't have to experience the war, so they didn't really
right,
know.
so they just
Yeah.
thought we was there preventing the unification,
Yeah.
which it's not true.
Yeah.
But the country's great. I mean, it's odd. Like, I couldn't go off post in a tank top because underarm hair offended the Koreans.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
we had to wear T-shirts.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And, but yeah, it's a great time over there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Did you like the food?
Yeah.
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 It's very similar to Chinese, from what I understand.
Yeah, but it's like They just opened a Korean restaurant in Nixa, and it is, you go in there, there is no cashew chicken on the menu.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
but Korean food. And I went there and ate it, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it tastes like.
Yeah, I need to
good
go check
stuff.
that out. That's cool.
It's very good.
You know, it's weird because I don't know what it is, but I think a lot of people lump all Asian countries together and assume that they're all the same.
Yeah,
But that's
not
like
even.
lumping Europe together and saying that all European countries are the same
Correct,
because
yeah,
they're
they're-
close to each other. It's
they're
completely
all
different.
different.
Way different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a completely different world from what I understand. In my time when I was in Japan, it's a whole different world than what people experience in Korea, Thailand, and
Yeah, and I mean the work ethic. I mean they're the majority of the people there are farmers.
Yeah.
and they all pitch in and they all work. And when I was there, a little bit of an economic struggle was going on, and a lot of citizens took all their gold jewelry and stuff and gave it to the government to melt down to help.
Yeah.
And I don't honestly see that ever happening here.
There's no way. There's no way.
It's everyone out for themselves, and there they actually got together. They don't bitch and moan like we do.
Yeah.
They just go about their business.
We have a bad problem with entitlement in this country.
Correct.
Big time. I agree with you there 100%. And you'll never, and it goes back to, it happened during World War II because, you had these manufacturing plants that would stop and work for the effort.
Right.
But that was a different time, and our
And that
mentality,
generation
and our
is
generation
different.
is completely different than now. Most people
Yep.
would say, it's not our problem.
Right.
But, it's nuts. So Korea's the only place you went overseas?
Stationed, but I've been to Canada for training. I went to Panama for jungle training.
How was that? Hot?
Hot,
Hotter than hell,
yeah,
probably.
and you can't see nothing.
Yeah.
It's pitch black at night,
Yeah.
and those damn screaming monkeys and bugs.
Really?
And, yeah, it's just unreal. It's only like a 2-week thing.
Yeah.
And I went to Puerto Rico for training once.
How was
Just-
that? Pretty?
Yeah, but you don't get to see much of
Yeah,
it.
because you're working the whole time.
And then my desert training was all out in California.
Yeah.
That's Fort Irvin is probably the most miserable place in the world.
Hot.
Hot. I went in January and it was snowed on me in the middle of the desert. Ungodly cold.
Desert training.
And they gave us our packing list and had a park on there. I'm like, I'm going to the desert. I don't need a parka.
Yeah.
We get out there and it drops down to like 22 degrees and snowing, and they say, get your parkas out. And I'm like, I ain't bring my parka. And so since we weren't in uniform together, no one could wear their parka because of me.
Oh, God, I bet. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, I got in trouble.
Oh, I bet they were
Yeah.
upset.
Yeah, I was a private. I got in trouble.
Oh, yeah, I bet. That's crazy. That's cool. Jungle training. Yeah, the furthest the jungle I've been into was Chichen Itza in Mexico. And when we went, it wasn't even it wasn't direct sun that day. And I still can remember that being like the most humid, hot. It was almost, it's like being in a sauna. It's hard to breathe almost.
Korea's the same way. I mean, it's just ridiculously hot, or you're just freezing to death.
Yeah,
the whole
there's
time.
no comfortable.
And when monsoon season hits, it just starts raining.
And doesn't stop.
And it doesn't stop for nothing. Then it just stops as quick as it starts.
That's so crazy.
But we'd be out on the DMZ running PT or whatever, and you'd look and you see these spider webs, and spiders as big as my fist in the middle of them. And you're like, I got point tonight on ambush. I ain't want no part of that because you can't see nothing there at night either. Because we didn't take the night vision goggles. We just walked and looked.
Yeah.
But once we got set up in ambush, you've got your designated marksman. They've got all the night vision stuff,
Yeah.
and they initiate anything should anything happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So
God, what a world, just guarding a gate all day. It's funny because in my mind, I just keep thinking, did you ever watch Game of Thrones? Mm-hmm. It's I imagine that's what it was like being on the night watch, being on the wall,
Yeah,
and just
like
watching for the White Walkers all the time.
right, because they're looking at us same as we're
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at them, and that's like you can't make no gestures towards nothing because then they will say that's a form of aggression.
Yeah,
You just- It's kind of silly, and went into the room where they have the peace talks or whatever, and it's all it is a line right through there. There's no wall or nothing once you're in that room, and you're just not allowed to go on this side of the table. And same thing outside. There's a curb that separates the building, and they stand there, the North Koreans, and look at us, but they walk around and take pictures, and our guys will stand there just half their body showing on the corner of the building, and they just stare. They don't move. And then you've got one NCO that walks back and forth watching his men just stand there. You got to be over 6 foot tall to serve with the JSA.
Wow.
And that's the South Koreans or the Americans. You can't be, because it's an intimidation thing.
Yeah.
You've got to look how big our guys are.
Because you're a tall dude. That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I never even thought about that like that.
It's an intimidation
Yeah,
thing.
that's crazy. God, that's insane. That's so insane. That I never even thought about it like that. But you're right. I bet that's real hard for the North Koreans to find 6 foot tall dudes, man. Because the Asian cultures really don't have a whole lot of tall guys, man.
No.
Golly.
Yep, like I said, but in '91 we gave all the DMZ back to the South Koreans. We don't have posts on the other side of the bridge anymore. None of that.
Yeah, well, that's their thing. They need to be doing it themselves.
Right.
It's kind of like what we did in the Middle East. We got to train. We're not the solution. You're the solution. We're here to help you get to that solution.
Right.
Which makes perfect sense. Well, thanks for coming to lunch with me today, man. I appreciate
Enjoyed
your
it.
service, and thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.